What's going on, 3D printing folks? Will at Heroic Studios coming at you with another video. Yes, it's been a while since I've done these. I've been doing a ton of projects. You can see my Gundam helmet right down there. This thing looks absolutely fantastic. I love wearing it, and I'm going to be doing 2 more of those in the near future. But if you are in any of the Facebook groups, I know there's a ton of Facebook groups. I don't really know which one asked this question, but I get this question a lot of times. How do I start 3D printing? Well, there's a lot that goes into 3D printing based on what you're trying to print, what you're trying to make. Is it big? Is it small? Do you want to do FDM? Do you want to do resin printing? Do you want to print with multiple materials? Do you want to go big? Do you want to go small? There's a lot that goes into it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I got started 3D printing and make sort of like a suggestion for you guys if you guys are interested in getting started, which one is more economically feasible, which one is a little bit more on the expensive side. And of course, I've been promising you guys this for a very long time, which printers that I use to print all the cool stuff, like my Gundam helmet down there. I'm really excited about that. If you guys haven't figured it out, that thing looks so cool. So without further ado, let's get started. But first, I gotta point out, shout out to my man, Nathan Gates. That is my first Patreon member on my Patreon page. September is rolling around and I got this really cool Blue Ranger figurine. It comes with multiple swappable parts, real face helmet, some weapons here, swappable hands, you name it, it is there, and it's right now going to be live September 1st on my Patreon page. And as a bonus, you guys, if you guys missed last month, you can join up and get Jason/Rocky for free as a welcome gift from me to you. So please go ahead and check that out. I have a lot more coming up, and you get to vote on which Ranger you guys want to have next. I'm doing a whole line, guys. That is my first big thing that I want to do for you guys. So go ahead, check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/Will at Heroic Studios. I will see you there. And of course, I'm going to show you exactly how to print these bad boys because I got a little mini Billy and I'm going to be printing a really big Billy. Don't know how that happened, but I'm excited for both of it. Okay, so let's get started. 3D printing is an art. You have to be able to tinker. You have to be able to not get frustrated. I was not able to do any of those things. My first printer was an ANET, ANET Plus, ANET. It was the ANET printer. ANET. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. ANET A8 Plus. There we go. And it was a DIY, put it together yourself kind of kit. And honestly, wasn't that hard. I work as an engineer during the day, so putting this thing together was not hard. It was actually getting it to work properly that was hard. Now, before I go further, I do want to catalog all of my printers for you guys, just to kind of show you guys what it is that I have working with me, both at my house and at my work, okay? I don't even think I have pictures of the ones at my work. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. So I have a Anycubic Cobra Max, which if you watch that video, my unboxing with it, phenomenal. And then I have my Artillery Sidewinder, which is probably my favorite reliable printer as of now. The Cobra's nice, don't get me wrong, it's fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I've relied a lot on my Sidewinder and it has helped me out very much. Then I got a Voxlab Aquila, and then I have my ANET A8 Plus. This is my very first printer that I ever put together. I do have an Anchormate on the way in November. Yes, I was the one that backed that Kickstarter after watching that Uncle Jesse video, and I can't wait to get my hands on that thing. Ugh, can't wait. As far as resin printers, so those are all my FDM printers. As far as my resin printers, I have a Photon, an Anycubic Photon, an Anycubic Photon Mono, an Anycubic Photon Mono 4K, an Elegoo Saturn, an Elegoo Mars 2 Pro, a Photon S, and an Anycubic Photon Mono X, along with 2 wash and cure stations, one from Anycubic and one from Elegoo. So FDM, resin, 2 completely different things. You guys have to figure out what it is you want to do. If you want to print something that has a lot of detail, little figurines, little minis, a lot of people get into resin for that stuff. If you want to do something a little bit more broad like that Gundam, I'm going to keep on pointing at this Gundam helmet because it's so freaking cool. You want to do a little bit more FDM printing, but do you want to go big? Do you want to go small? That's entirely up to you. Personally, my advice is start with something simple. Start with something that you can get out of the box, put it together, hit play, and let it do its thing, okay? A lot of these printers, they come with preloaded files that you can just go ahead and print, whether it be a cube, whether it be a rook, whether it be the infamous, what's that, the Benchy prize, the Benchy boat thingy. People love that, and it comes out really cool. A lot of people don't like fiddling with the slicer software, and that is where a lot of people kind of get in there and they slice it. They think they understand what the program is, and then when it gets to printing, it doesn't turn out how it's supposed to be. And I've actually run into that a lot. So when I first got my Anet A8 Plus, it was a pain in the ass because the bed wouldn't level properly. The springs were all the way compressed. We had to literally, and by we I mean me and my wife, we had to literally modify this thing to work properly. We had to buy a new extruder because the extruder that they came with is junk. We had to buy new springs and new the little knobs underneath. We had to buy more of those. We bought a new stepper motor extruder because the one that came with it is junk. It was a lot of things that we needed to do to upgrade the Anet A8. But once we got it working, dude, this thing provides such good quality prints. I'm actually printing parts or printed parts of my Power Axe on that thing, and it turned out really good. And this is probably becoming one of my favorite printers to even use this for. And I use it for a lot of different materials because I have a hardened steel nozzle that I upgraded to. So I can use wood, I can use glow-in-the-dark filament, I can use the glitter filament, and just anything that I want to use on this printer, I can use it because I have a hardened steel nozzle. But before I got that one running, I had my artillery sidewinder. And that one was a refurbished model that I got from the hobby shop up the street, and I brought it home and it worked. It worked great. Like, it was right out of the box. Even though it was refurbished, it was right out of the box, and it worked very, very well, and I had no complaints. So those were my two printers that I was rocking before. I had an Ender 5, but that one I got at auction and it was trash. I tried to fix it, didn't work, and I replaced that with my Cobra Max. End of story. There you go. And then I got my VoxLab Aquila, which is probably my favorite printer too. I mean, all the printers that you get, guys, I've heard people ask me, you know, should I just scrap this printer and get a new one? Should I just get rid of this printer because it's not working properly and get a new one? No, don't do that. If you can't make this printer work, there's no need to be into this hobby, because it takes a lot of tinkering. It takes a lot of time and effort to figure out what's going on with your printer and actually being able to fix it, because you're going to encounter a lot of defective stuff when it comes to printing, whatever it is. Things are going to break. Wear happens. You're going to have to learn how to fix that in order to keep what you're going, because these printers are not cheap. Which brings me into my next thing. Which one is more expensive, FDM or resin? Resin is more expensive, okay? And I'm going to get into what you should do with resin printing a little bit later, but FDM is a little bit cheaper. I got my Anycubic Cobra Max, which is a large scale printer because I used it to print that Gundam helmet down there. I'm going to keep on pointing to it, guys. It's just so beautiful. I used to print this bad boy over here, and that cost me roughly around $600-700. Now, resin printing does not have any giant large scale printer. They're actually, I take that back, they're starting to break into that parameter field with the Anycubic M3 Max, which is my dream printer. I can't wait to get my hands on that thing, but it's going to cost you about a good $1,000. Don't have $1,000 yet, but hey, if you join my Patreon, I will have $1,000 pretty soon. Anywho, I know that was self-serving, I'm sorry. Anywho, resin printing, like I said, if you're really going to get into that, you really need to be on your game, because I've gotten resin printers where shit broke. Like, my screen didn't work out of the box, my motors got jammed, my FEP sheet was ruined. It was been a nightmare. And yeah, Anycube and Elegoo are really good at sending you out parts, but you have to replace those parts on your own. They're not just going to send you out another printer. So you have to really get down and dirty, take off parts, take pictures of where wires go and all that fun stuff, and get it back. But going back to the FDM size, it's a lot cheaper. Filament material is cheaper, and it's just fun to watch once you get everything going. So FDM, if you really want to get into making cosplay props, little knickknacks that you can set around a house or anything like that, FDM is probably where you want to go. And that is very, very simple to do. And I've done videos where I've done cosplay props and I've sanded and I've filled with Bondo, painted, added electronics to it. You guys can watch that on my channel if you guys are looking to get a little bit more hands-on with your print. So FDM, big scale, cheap price, easy to work with, frustrating, yes, but well worth the time and effort. And you're learning as you go. I'm a learner as I go. Next, we have the resin printers. Like I said, are more expensive. I started off with a Mars 2 Pro that I got at auction, and it worked, still works fine actually. Actually, no, I take that back. A motor jammed and I have to replace the motor. But this printer has been super reliable for me, and I actually started my Etsy shop printing the 3 Pokemon starters, Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise, and that has been very good to me. And the best thing about 3D printing, best between FDM and resin, is that you can just go ahead, slice a file once, and if it's successful, the printer automatically knows what to do after you've done it. You may have to relevel your plate or your build plate, whatever, but it works. Resin, different ball game. Doesn't use heat. It's a little bit more simple. The material is more expensive, I will tell you that. A kilogram of resin can run you anywhere between $25 and $50 depending on the brand. Resin takes a lot of fine tuning and figuring out because you do get shrinkage when you make statues that have to come together. I did not know this. It was a pain in the ass trying to figure this out. But again, if you're willing to tinker with what you want to do, i.e. this hobby, then you're going to have to get your hands dirty and start learning. And a lot of these Facebook groups, channels like mine, we walk you through these kinds of things to help you guys figure out what it is you need to do. I'm not an expert. I've just been working with printers for about 3 or 4 years now, and I love it. So I'm still learning, and I'm willing to help you guys kind of figure out what you guys need to do. Like I said, resin printing does not have a large scale manufacturer yet. They have the Elegoo Jupiter, which is like a goddamn mini fridge. Think it's ginormous, but it's going to run you about $1,200. There is, like I said, the Anycubic Max, that is M3 Max, that is about $1,000. And then there was a frozen, big ass frozen that I don't really remember. Some girl in one of the groups built like this really giant ass Halo gun, and I'm kind of jealous and I kind of want one now because the thing is ginormous. But resin printing is super expensive. If you have the money, go for it. But if you kind of want to keep costs down, I would recommend starting off small. And this goes for the FDM2. And I don't think I mentioned this. Start small when it comes to picking out your printers. My first printer, when I first got started, was at work. I had a Monoprice V2 Mini. It was a simple 6" by 6" by 6" printer. And it did like little knickknacks and things that I got into after I started this new job. I had no idea what 3D printing was. They had this printer. They didn't know how to work it. I jumped in and figured it out. From there, we got a Raise Pro 2 Plus, which is a mini fridge type printer, 12 by 12 by I think 23. And then we really got a big daddy called the Modix Pro, the Modix Big Meter, which is, you ready for this? 1000 by 1000 by 1000. So it's literally a meter, about 41 inches in the XYZ direction. The bigger the printer, the more temperamental it's going to be. Just keep that in mind, which is why I advise people start slow. When you start slow, you kind of get the basics, what the extruder is, Bowden tube, build plate, how to level it. Most of that stuff translates over into the bigger printers, obviously, but you want to start small. You don't want to jump into a big meter, which is like 13 grand. If you have 13 grand, I would spend out on something else. Not a big meter just yet because you're getting started, but you don't want to go ahead and jump, let's say, into getting a Anycubic Cobra Max because you're not familiar with the basics. Start small. If you don't want to start with a little 6 by 6 by 6" printer like the Monoprice V2 Mini, then maybe go ahead and get your hands on an Ender 3. Ender 3 is like the #1 beginner printer for people who are getting into it. On the resin side, I recommend getting either the Elegoo Mars 2 Pro or the Anycubic Photon, or I don't even think they make the Photons anymore. But in case they don't, get the Anycubic Mono, either the regular or the 4K. Those are the small scale printers. You get a little bit better resolution and they work really well, especially with 4K. Now the Mars 2 Pro is a standard full HD. If you want to get a little bit more of the resolution on your prints, go ahead and try working with the Anycubic Mono 4K. Those are my recommendations. Start small and then slowly work your way up. Fair warning though, this is an addicting hobby because once you get your hands on one printer, you're going to see another one that looks really cool and you're going to want that one. And then once you get your hands on that one, you're going to see another one that's really cool and you're going to want that one. And it's a terrible cycle, but hey, it is a fun hobby and I'm having so much fun with this, guys. I love doing this. I love putting things together, printing it, waking up the next day and seeing something that's looking great. It's fucking awesome. Excuse my French. But that's going to do it for me. If you guys have any questions on how you can get started, please let me know. I might have missed a few things, but I'm trying to keep this video short. I have a lot more stuff to do. And remember, guys, go check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Will@HeroicStudios. Join up and let me know which Ranger you guys want to be which range do you want to have done next for what, October? Damn, we're in September already. Jeez, October. Okay. Again, shout out to Nathan Gates, my first Patreon. Love you, dude. I hope to see what you guys are, what you're printing, dude. So that's gonna do it for this video. See you guys next time, and don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and comment with your questions. I will be able to answer anything that you guys might have. Check you later. Adios.